Compilers in Apache Ant. Now we are focusing on compilers. These are compile tasks. As an example, we can consider this. Compile all .java files under the implied directory by src here, and store the .class files in the implied directory by build here, and class path used includes xyz.jar, and compiling with debug information is on. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements here. Here the javac compiler compiles a Java source tree. Here you can see src dir attribute, location of the Java files. Here you can see dest dir attribute, location to store the class files. Here you can see class path attribute, the class path to use. Here you can see debug attributes, indicates whether source should be compiled with debug information. If set to off, -g :none will be passed on the command line for compilers that support it. For other compilers, no command line argument will be used. If set to true, the value of the debug level attribute determines the command line argument. Here you can see source attribute, Java language features accepted by compiler as specified by -source command line switch. Valid feature versions are 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 or 5, etc. The attribute will be ignored by all implementation prior to javac 1.4 or modern, when Ant is not running in JVM 1.3, GCJ and JIX. If you use this attribute together with GCJ or JIX, you must make sure that your version supports this -source or -fsource for GCJ switch. As an example too, we can consider this. If you want to run a javac compiler of a different JDK, you should tell Ant where to find the compiler and which version of JDK you will be using, so it can choose the correct command line switches. The above in this example, it executes JDK 1.1 javac in a new process and uses the correct command line switches even when Ant is running in a JVM of a different versions. Here you can see fork attribute, whether to execute javac using JDK compiler externally. Here you can see executable attribute, complete path to the javac executable to use in case of fork is yes. Since Ant 1.1, 1.6, this attribute can also be used to specify the path to execute to the executable when using JIX, JVC, JCJ or SJ. Here you can see compiler attribute, the compiler implementation to use. As an example 3, we can consider this. Here WL JSPC compiler, class to precompile JSPs using WebLogic JSP compiler, weblogic.jspc. This is tested only on WebLogic 4.5.1 and NT 4.0 and Solaris 7 and 8. Here you can see a source attribute, root of source tree for JSP, that is the document root for your WebLogic server. And here you can see dest attribute, root of destination directory, which you have set as working dir in the WebLogic properties. And here you can see package attribute, start package name under which your JSP would be compiled. Here you can see class path to use when compiling JSPs. Now we are focusing on depend in compile tasks. In this example, the depend tasks caches its dependency information in the dep cache directory. The task depend, a task to manage Java class file dependencies. With regarding API, the class depend generates a dependency file for a given set of classes. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdef.optional.depend. Here remove any classes in the build.classes directory that depends on out of date classes. Classes are considered out of date with respect to the source in the here the $ open curly brace java.dir close curly brace directory using the same mechanism as the Java C tasks. In this example, the depend task caches its dependency information in the dep cache directory. Now we are considering Java C. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements. Task Java C compiles a Java source tree. With regarding API, class Java C compiles Java source files. This task can take following argument: source dir, dest dir, deprecation class path, boot class path, xdirs, optimize, debug, encoding, target, depend, verbose, fail on error, include Ant runtime, include Java runtime, source, compiler, release. Of these arguments, the source dir and dest dir are required. This is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs. Here compile all .java files under the src directory and store the .class files in the here dest dir in the build directory. Open curly brace build close curly brace directory. The class path use indicate xyz.jar and compiling with debug information is on. The source level is 1.4, so you can use assert statements. Now we are considering JSPC. Here built all JSP files under src /var into the destination /gen src in a package hierarchy beginning with com.i3sp.jsp. The task JSPC is deprecated. If you use this task with Tomcat's Jasper JSP compiler, you should seriously consider using the task shipping with Tomcat instead. This task is only tested against Tomcat 4.x. There are known problems with Tomcat 5.x that won't get fixed in Ant. Please use Tomcat's JSPC task instead. Instead of relying on container specific JSP compilers, we suggest deploying raw files *.jsp and use the container built-in functions. After deploying, run a test suite, for example with Cactus or HTTP unit, against the deployed web application. So you will get the test result and compile JSPs. This task basically Apache Ant task to run JSP compiler and turn JSP pages into Java source files. With regarding API, class JSPC turns a runs a JSP compiler. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdef.optional.jsp. Now we are considering netrex C. Task netrex C compiles the netrex source tree within the running Apache Ant JVM. With regarding API, class netrex C compiles netrex source files. This task can take the following argument: binary, class path, comments, compile, console, crossref, decimal, dest, dir, diag, explicit, format, keep, logo, replace, save log, src dir, source dir, strict args, strict assign, strict case, strict import, symbols, time, trace, UTF-8, verbose, suppress method argument not used, suppress private property not used, suppress variable not used, suppressed exception not signaled, suppress deprecation, remove keep extension of these argument. The src dir argument is required. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.optional. Now we are considering RMIC. Here runs the RMIC compiler for the class com.xyz.foobar. The compiled files will be stored in the directory $ open curly brace build close curly brace / classes / classes directory. The task RMIC runs the RMIC compiler for a certain class. With regarding API, the interface RMIC adapter, the interface that all RMIC adapters must adhere to. This is in the package org.apache.tools.and.taskdefs.rmic. Now we are considering WLJSPC. Task WLJSPC class to precompile JSP PCs using WebLogic JSP compiler. WebLogic JSPC. With regarding API, the class WLJSPC precompiles JSPs using WebLogic's JSP compiler, WebLogic.jspc, tested only on WebLogic 4.5.1, NT 4.0 and Solaris 5.7 required attributes, src root of the source tree for JSP, that is the document root for your WebLogic server, dest, the root of the destination directory, what you have set as working dir in the WebLogic properties package, in the WebLogic properties package, start package name under which your JSP would be compiled, other attributes, class path. A class path should be set which contain WebLogic classes as well as application classes referenced by the JSP. The system class path is also append when the JSP C is called. So you may choose to put everything in the class path while calling Ant. However, since presumably the JSPs will reference classes being built by Ant, it would be better to explicitly add the class path in the task. The task checks timestamps on the JSPs and generated classes and compiles only those files that have changed. It follows the WebLogic naming convention of putting classes in _dir name / file name .class for dir name / file name .jsp limitation. It compiles the files through the classic compile only limitation, since it's is my this is in the package org.apache.tools.ant.taskdefs.optional.jsp. As an error example, we can consider this error, fail on error. This is an attribute which indicates whether compilation errors will fail the build in Java C task. Here, as an error example 2, we can consider this error occurred in Java C task. Compile failed. Build.xml 77 compile failed. See the compile error output for details at there are number of source files here. Types. Apache Ant provides a rich set of types. As an example, we can consider this one here. Now this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for watching it.